Should have thought of an intro first, shouldn't I? Have?
Yeah, you probably should have thought of an intro.
All right, it's The Tech, the show where hairdos are awesome and people wear roller skates in the hallway. Can you hear them now?
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
Roller skates, motorized roller skates on The Tech. That's pretty much all we have to talk about today. Borderlands 2 is out. Everyone's playing that, so no one's going to be watching this.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I need to go do something.
Yeah, we should. You didn't know. Oh, yeah, you're not playing Borderlands 2 yet?
No, not yet.
$60 unless you bought it on Green Thumb. It was like $35 for a day or two or whatever. Max emailed me like 400 times like, dude, have you bought it yet? It's like $35. I'm like, I'm not going to buy it later. I've got stuff to do, you know? Got plenty of other games to play, like all these indie games coming out. Anyway, let's get started with the speed news segment with my motorized roller skates.
10 seconds of insanity.
Yes. All right, first off, Samsung has placed 128 gigabytes on a this size. Look at this. Look at this NAND storage. Look at that size, 128 gigabytes. So pretty soon, this is going to be in phones everywhere. You can put multiple, embedded flash. You can put like 4 of these in a phone and still have room for a toaster.
Yeah, you could do a lot of fun stuff with that.
That is really awesome. I know who's not going to be allowed to use that.
Could that company be Apple? Could Apple not be allowed to use Samsung's fancy new flash storage technology?
Oh, God. That's... So, if you're in America, be happy. Your tax dollars are being put to great use. The TSA is spending another $245 million on more scanners, so I just wanted to mention that. You know, it's really great that they have all those scanners because they do catch so many terrorists. And they don't bother anybody, and it's not really an invasion of privacy. So I think it's great, you know. And I mean, they really catch hundreds of terrorists, right?
I'm really sort of concerned that they haven't actually come right out and said that the non-ionizing radiation output of those things is 0. Like, I'm sure that it's probably close to 0, but that it's not.
They won't say anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It should be 0, but I have my doubts.
Yeah. Easy to get through those things, too, if you're wearing a jacket. You just put all your guns in the pockets of the jacket, and when you're holding your hands up, anything that's over here in this area is, like, invisible.
Yeah, there was a YouTube video about that. They were very upset.
Yeah. And now they're spending more money. You know why? Because they're friends with somebody who owns the company that makes those things.
Yeah. It's
they're
funny
like,
how
hey,
that
yeah,
works.
just keep making them. We've got so much tax money for you.
Here, have a couple $1 billion on some stuff that, you know.
Yeah. So, a startup company named Bromium has developed an antivirus that could be the end of all antiviruses. As in, it could be the antivirus to end all antiviruses. I just said that twice in a row. I have no idea why. The name of the software is vSentry, and what it's doing really is it's taking advantage of virtual machines. And everything you do is contained within like a picture like an invisible glass barrier on each side of every application that you run and every browser tab that you open. Similar to what Chrome has kind of going right now, where each browser, each tab is opened up in like a new instance. Similar to that. And most of us are going to be like, that's going to like kill performance, right? Well, you know, i5s, i3s, i7s, most of Intel's new chips have this technology built in for virtualization. So it really doesn't hit performance much at all. That could be really handy because if you download something and there's a virus and it's in this window, as soon as that window is closed, the virus is gone.
Unfortunately, viruses that rely on user idiocy will still prevail because it's like, hey, just download and run this thing. It'll be fine.
Yeah, like that picture I shared on the internet the other day. Like the guy, like download file. File says, warning, do not download this to your hard drive. Oh, click OK. Warning, this is a program may contain a virus. Turn off antivirus. Keep trying. Warning, the Windows thing comes up and says, warning, this is going to make changes to your registry. Yes, do it. Then you get a virus and you go, screw it, I'm getting an Apple. They never get viruses. Anyway, Comcast is going to be implementing some data caps in cities around the country starting soon. There's going to be 300 gigabyte data caps and 600 gigabyte data caps depending on your plan. You're actually going to pay more for a higher data cap. So that's a pretty high data cap, but just the fact that they're implementing a data cap at all is disgusting. We're going to be doing a special. I know we've been talking about the 1996 Telecommunications Act. As a precursor to that, we're going to do a special where we just pretty much talk about the state of broadband communications in this country as it is today and what's happening. And then from there, we'll make a separate video that'll be a little bit longer that'll just talk about what has happened with the 1996 Telecommunications Act. And this is one of the big problems that we're going to get into. You know, the carriers being able to do nonsense like this. What were you going to say? The
really insidious thing here with data caps you guys have to keep in mind is that eventually this is not going to be enough. Like right now, this could be a lot. But, you know, it's like, oh, I want to start streaming my Blu-rays from the Blu-ray Netflix that'll be out in 10 years. 600 gig ain't going to cut it.
Right. And games are going to get bigger. You're going to be downloading everything online. I mean, people who use Steam and download lots of games, they're going to be in trouble. And then again, if you go over your data cap, lots of money coming out of your pocket.
See, what companies don't realize, and we'll cover this in one of those future videos, is if they gave us an insanely fast internet connection, they could actually have better control over their wares by forcing us to stream everything. It would be like the general populace would perceive that as much less inconvenient not having their media locally if they streamed everything. And by having shitty internet, you're not going to want to stream anything.
And a lot of the infrastructure is there because a lot of these companies did lay the fiber and then decided not to use it because they realized, this fiber, if we start using this, it's gonna hurt our bottom line. And people aren't going to be using the telephone anymore and all that sort of thing. So now Google's been buying up that dark fiber, but that's coming in a future video very soon. Actually, going up to New York, I'm going to make some headway on that video up there as well.
That's going to be awesome.
Yes. Okay, so we talked about AT&T and their blocking of FaceTime if you have like an Apple phone. What are they called? iPhones? If you have an iPhone. Seriously.
Too bad you guys can't see this, but I'm face palming really hard back here.
If you have an iPhone, AT&T's been blocking FaceTime. And right now there's some people that have filed complaints, and there may be a lawsuit going on. The guy who's in charge of the free press policy, his name is Matt Wood. And he said AT&T's decision to block FaceTime unless a customer pays for voice and text minutes she doesn't need is a clear violation of FCC's open internet rules. So it looks like there's going to be some action taken there. And you know what AT&T's been doing for their defense? They'll be like, hey, why are you guys yelling at us? We've been transparent about our evil. Like, we told everybody we were going to be evil. We didn't, like, do it secretly in the closet like these other guys.
And they actually said that you could use FaceTime works just fine on Wi-Fi. And it's like, what? That's not even relevant to this conversation.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, if you're not using our network, do whatever you want.
We're graciously allowing you to use FaceTime. You know, pray that we don't take it away is what I took away from that message. It's like, oh, you can use FaceTime, just not on our network. We're allowing that.
And you can use it if you download another app.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you don't use Apple's FaceTime app, you can download any app. But they were like, we've found that our users are so lazy that they won't do that.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah. So speaking of sad things and speaking of internet things, the German government has told their populace, their public, to stop using Internet Explorer because of all the security holes.
That's probably not a bad idea. You know, if anyone out there has to develop things for Internet Explorer, it really does make you want to slit your wrists.
It's like, hey, all this works. Not an Internet Explorer. What did I do wrong? Internet Explorer, that's what's wrong. Internet Exploder is bad for my health.
It's like, hey, check out this thing that I built. It's so beautiful and so elegant, and the code is so pretty. By the time Internet Explorer gets done with it, it's just the most horrible looking. I mean, it's I can't even paint it.
You know how I think Internet Explorer could become relevant again? Is if Internet Explorer had like a plugin built into it that turned every website into GeoCities. So it would become a novelty. Everyone would have to have it installed because you'd look at a website and be like, oh, this is a really cool website. Wait a second. I'm going to bring it up in Internet Explorer and see all the animated GIFs. And like, and there you go.
You know, IE9 is much better than it's ever been, but their whole insistence on not supporting things like WebGL is just, it's like, it's the same old stuff all over again.
I need to give Ballmer like the worst Indian burn of his life.
Yeah, Ballmer really, he's got problems.
Okay, I just wanted to mention this because people always ask me, hey, have you seen this movie? Have you seen this movie? Guys, I hate movies. I really hate them. And here's why I don't go to the movies. Look at this. The original movies back in 1981, there's all these original movies coming out. Some of them are pretty decent. Time Bandits. Oh my God, 1981 Time Bandits. Wow.
I've got that on Blu-ray.
That movie is such a mess.
No, not really.
You do, don't you?
I think I watched the Mystery Science Theater Time Bandits. Does that count?
Yeah, you probably can get the exact same thing out of it. But look at 2011. Not one original film. Oh, we had 2 adaptations. That's pretty close to original, isn't it? That really scares me. I mean, of course, there's some stuff coming out in the independent sector, but God, Hollywood, what the hell? Make an original film, would you?
There's a couple of films that I watched that were made with a Canon 5D, like what we shoot this thing with, and I really maybe I'm an old fart, but it seemed cinematic quality.
If you do it right, it can be. I mean, you have to have the right lighting, because that thing has. If you're shooting with poor lighting, you're not going to get as much dynamic range out of it. But if you have everything evenly lit and it looks good, that thing can look nice. And if you shoot it like at the right ISO, you'll get more stops of dynamic range, which is what's nice. So remember the Apple versus Samsung case? Do you guys remember that? It's been going on out there. Stupid Samsung remember stupid Samsung thought that they can compete with Apple with their inferior phone.
Wait, what now? Apple sued Samsung? What?
Yeah, and Samsung thought they were going to steal from Apple, but they can't compete with Apple. And then they lost, of course, because the jury said that they were willfully infringing. So that the jury said you got to pay $1 billion. Well, Apple looked at that and they're like, well, you know what? If they're willingly infringing, they owe us a lot more than that. Apple's lawyers are prepared to ask for $3 billion. So they're planning on going into court.
$3 billion.
$3 billion. Sharks with laser beams. I was really enjoying that new Samsung commercial, by the way. Because I've been to New York and I've seen the lines wrapping around the corner when there's a new iPhone. I'm like, what the hell is going on with all these weird neckbeards doing outside at this hour? Oh, new iPhone coming out. And they're over there yeah, man, it's got a digital plugger face or something. I don't know, man. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You just want that device.
The new device has friend face. Friend face is they describe it almost like a disease on the IT crowd. You infect your friends, and then everyone's on friend face. Yeah.
Speaking of infection, there's a security firm that's holding a zombie crisis scenario. Every year they have a get-together training. I don't know what it is. It's the Halo Corp. Anyway, this year they're going to a 44-acre area called Paradise Point. And they've got this entire area. They've got it set up with Hollywood-quality sets. And they're going to be doing security stuff. They're going to be training and doing medical training and field training. And there's going to be a zombie apocalypse. They're going to have actors, and they're going to be harassing the people who are trying to, do medical stuff, and they're going to be harassing the security officers. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to train the security officers and the people involved in the exercises on, crisis scenarios.
You want me to blow your mind?
Yeah, what's this?
When you see Bubba and his, off-road pickup truck, and he's preparing for the zombie apocalypse, he's not really preparing for the zombie apocalypse. He's preparing for the day when the paramilitary police come for his guns. And he can't say, I'm preparing for the day when the paramilitary police come for my guns. So he has to say, I'm preparing for zombies. And so I'm looking at this and looking at the military doing this kind of thing and thinking, maybe they're preparing for the other people preparing for zombies.
It's a conspiracy inside a conspiracy, but it's probably true.
And it's wrapped in a conundrum.
Well,
Yeah, if you're a doomsday prepper, you can't be like, I'm preparing for the day when the authorities come for me. But that's totally not acceptable.
They'll be there tomorrow in that case. We better get that guy before he's ready.
At the very least, he'll be on a list.
Yeah.
But I'm preparing for zombies. It's that's cool.
You know what? I'm going to take a look at these zombie apocalypse books that are always at the front of the bookstores, and everyone buys them up, and I'm like, what the hell? Just get a machete, because you never have to reload a machete or a samurai sword. But I'm going to start looking at those in a different light and being
yeah,
militarized police force preparedness program.
Well, and it could be something. The collapse that leads to that could be as simple as a food shortage or the housing collapse. Or
speaking of collapse, and I think everyone on this show should be aware of this, but the U.S. dollar backs oil transactions all over the world. And was it a week ago? China said, "Hey, if you guys want to deal with us and oil, we are not using the U.S. dollar anymore. You're going to do it in Chinese currency."
And that was really Ben Bernanke's fault, because he was like, we're going to do quantitative easing 3, and we're just going to print money because we can. And China was like,
So the U.S. currency is completely irrelevant. It's monopoly money now. I can't believe I'm saying that on the text. But yeah, the American currency is pretty much monopoly money. And then Bitcoin is no longer secure. There's a big break-in. It's a freaking mess. What do? Buy silver bars.
And helium.
So DARPA DARPA makes some crazy stuff. They made that tank that could like drive on water. Did you see that thing?
Yeah.
And DARPA's official video had like a heavy metal background music. It was ridiculous. Well, DARPA has been working on some new technology that uses EEG brainwave scanners, 120 megapixel cameras, and what it'll do is it scans the field, and a guy sits in an office somewhere, and there's like tons of computer systems running, to process all this information that comes in, and the computer looks at everything out in the field, and it highlights anything that could be dangerous, like maybe it's a shadow or a stick or something weird. And it shows all these images to the person sitting in the chair quickly. And what the thing does is the EEG brainwave scanner monitors. What does it monitor? What the type of reaction I'm looking for?
Beta wave, theta wave?
P300 responses. And P300 responses are like, they can be anything from when you see something that's a threat or you see something that you recognize. It's like whenever you recognize things, it monitors for that. And they found that it's really, really accurate. Now, where I'm going with all this is like the idea, they say, is once the technology can, shrink down, they want to incorporate this stuff into like wearable computers that they can be wearing out there in the field. And essentially that computer can be looking for things. It can notify people of threats before they are even, because their mind may send off a P300 response before they even realize what they've seen.
Another question you have to ask yourself is that better than being groped by the TSA?
I would buy one. I don't know. Be kind of cool, like augmented reality running around like Deus Ex.
It's kind of horrifying the government has control of it, though.
Well, that's where,
It's like, are you going to vote for this? Are you going to vote for Cthulhu? No?
So in the new iOS 6, we're getting into a little bit of Apple now. And in the new iOS 6, they have said no more Google Maps. They just really hate Google. They've got their knickers in a bunch. They cannot stand Google at all. So no more Google Maps and no more Google Navigation. And one of the guys who is, I guess he makes a competing navigation program. So the CEO of Waze, Noam Bardin, came out and just like unleashed. He just went crazy on the Apple thing. He said, listen, Google has the best data set and Apple now has the worst data set. People are going to get lost. They're going to not be able to find where they're going. Sometimes they're going to think that they're navigating to one place and they're going to end up at another. So he released this massive, rant. Yeah. There was recently an update. I think Apple probably called him and like, we will murder you, because he updated and said like, hey, I want to clarify that I didn't mean anything by that. So
well, I'm glad he distracted the Apple fanboys for us, because we're still getting hate mail.
Yeah. So maybe he can get a little bit of hate mail. But here's Waze. I guess he's probably just mad because Apple used it, didn't use Waze. They used something else. Because, he's like, hey, they didn't use our solution. They used some other crappy one. But it's still crappier than Google Maps, of course. I mean, Google Maps is the standard. And, whatever. So, speaking of Google Maps, you can now see inside businesses. So, if there's images available from inside the business, it'll show up on your map.
I think Leo Laporte's TV station's on there now.
Is it?
Like Quit TV, I think.
You can like walk inside?
Yep. Yeah, and see the studio. It's really neat.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. We should, maybe not do that here.
Yeah,
you might see our reactor.
Yeah, we do have a Farnsworth fuser.
He's not joking. Wait, are we allowed to say that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's probably okay.
The people that do not understand are always the ones that are really angry. We don't understand. Kill it. That's what's going to happen outside our door.
Well, I haven't managed to get more energy out of it than I put into it, so no need to call the presses or anything.
Yep. Well, those tests will be going on next year. Maybe get some fusion reactors that have more output than input, which would be ridiculous for the world. Speaking of ridiculous, there's this no-name company that has been suing everybody because they misunderstood GitHub. Now, so here's what's happening. A company called Personal Web Technologies. They have some software patents. They recently acquired a few. Some of them were just approved recently as well. They're suing Facebook and Apple and Yahoo and Microsoft. And you understand the patents, right?
Well, there's a bunch of patents in their list, and they're mostly for really generic things. The ones that I looked at, the best I can understand was one of them was for attaching globally unique identifiers to a data set, and another one was for deduplication of data in a data processing system. And so, like, data deduplication,
they're going to be able to sue everybody with that.
We've been doing that for 30 years. And so, like, the particular implementation in Git is really sort of interesting, but I wouldn't think that it would be patentable, and I wouldn't think that all possible implementations of data deduplication will be covered in this patent, but they seem to think otherwise.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they actually won this case, it would set a terrible precedent. But I mean, like, they've named Amazon and Dropbox and EMC and Google and NetApp and VMware and YouTube, and there's a ridiculous number of people named. And what's even funnier is they actually sued the hosting company, Rackspace, because they confused Rackspace with GitHub.
Yeah, because GitHub is a customer of Rackspace. They thought Rackspace was involved.
What do they, like, look up the who is and, like, oh, there it is, Rackspace, let's sue them?
Yeah, probably. Probably something like that.
That shows that they're just a patent troll. So hopefully that gets sorted out, but that's a mess. And they're suing them, of course, in the East District of Texas.
Yeah, everybody likes that district because it usually comes, favorable rulings usually come out of there.
Somebody bought the judge or something in that district.
Apparently.
Yeah. So guys in Texas, get your hay forks, would you? I'm not going to go too into this, but you guys should check this out. You remember the whole Trapwire thing came out, and everybody was freaking out. And there's a bunch of leaked documents, and one of the companies involved was called Abraxas. And Abraxas maintains databases on everything about you. Everything. Like millions of pieces of information about everybody. And they were attached to this. So they're owned by Cubic. That's the company, their parent company. And Cubic released a statement saying, listen, no, we are not involved with any of that. So they released a statement to kind of clear their name. But if you look at all the documents and the leaked documents, they are named everywhere. So I just want to let you guys know that Trapwire was tracking, and they were using the data from Abraxas, which has everything, to match you with your data. So take a look at the article in more detail. It's sort of horrifying, but that's just what's going on. And on that same note, the ACLU has filed a lawsuit. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but they have filed a lawsuit against the NSA regarding the warrantless wiretapping. And the lawsuit has made itself, has gone all the way to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be in the Supreme Court really soon. So I guess that's a good thing. I hope the Supreme Court knows what they're, what they're doing. But I don't know I don't know about this Supreme Court.
Yeah, I'm really sort of terrified about how they might rule, but it's good that it's at least before the Supreme Court.
Have you got the time?
It's Rant 30.
Yeah, it is Rant 30, isn't it? Now, this Rant 30 is going to be about copyright. We talk about that a lot because that's a system that totally needs to be reformed, and it's getting to a laughable point because there are a lot of things that should be fair use, but people are afraid to exercise their right to use these copywritten items fairly. For instance, in Canada, there's a college, OCAD University, and there's an art history book. Art history book costs $180, right? It's art history. You're learning about freaking art. There are 0 pictures in this art history book because the publisher of the art history book is afraid that they're going to get sued. Even though some of the courts, looked at this case and said, well, clearly the art that would go into this book would be used under fair use because you are learning about that art. And I started thinking about this, and I was like, you know what? Kids are taking art history. Maybe they appreciate art. Some of them may be affluent, some of them may be poor. The ones who do have some money might look at some art in the art history book and say, man, I really would like to have a piece by this artist. They might go out and seek out that artist and purchase a piece for several $1,000s, several $100,000, whatever. What I'm trying to say here is that having the images in the art book, putting them in there under the fair use doctrine, would help the art industry, not hurt it. So people who own all these copyrights need to chill the freak out because they are hurting themselves by denying the public from seeing their work. That's really what's happening, is they're keeping it from the people who could learn and then support them.
Well, it's more insane than that, even, in that most if not all of the artwork in this book is really old, and the artwork itself is not protected by copyright anymore.
Should be public domain. Yeah.
So it's just the photography of taking pictures. So surely to goodness we could send somebody through there with a Canon 5D or something and take some new pictures and call it a day.
They got to worry about the photographer suing.
Well, I mean,
even that's kind of a, well, I mean, you do own the photograph, but if you're taking pictures of copywritten material, that's usually like,
I'm pretty sure
fair use if someone else wants to use it.
Even if there was only one piece of art that you needed in one museum, I'm pretty sure that you could call Carl the night guy, send him a camera, hell, have him use his iPhone to take a picture. I mean, something.
Yeah, those things do an okay job if you have the lights turned on. Well, anyway, on that same note, the RIAA is freaking out right now because a lot of artists are coming out and saying that they like torrenting. They like when people steal their music. It helps them. And that's really, really, really bothering them. I mean, because think about that for a minute. What they do is they look at someone and they're like, okay, you stole 30 songs. Each song is worth $1.29. We're going to fine you for that times 1,000,000. And they add it all up that way. Meanwhile, let's look at there's an artist here in...
the MPAA announced that all of the money that they've collected from settlements will not be going to artists.
Oh, yeah, they're not giving any of that money to artists. So the artists aren't making any money at all. However, the artists are making more money because of the BitTorrents. And here's the reason why. In the UK, Ed Sheeran, he is the most downloaded artist. So he has 1.2 million albums sold and around 8 million downloads. So he was talking and he was like, you know what, that's really awesome. 9 million people are listening to my music. He's been doing a lot more shows. A lot more people are coming to the show. And when you think about it, he's like, yeah, listen, it's like $8 for an album. And it's $18 or 18 pounds to come see a show. So he gets way more people to come see the shows because more people have access to his music. It's helping him.
Well, not only that, the whole need for a label goes away because you can just distribute your music directly to the people that want it. There's no middleman.
Right.
Think about it this way. If you have a $20 album and your artist commission is like 30 cents per album, which is not very far off the mark. And how many thousands of albums would you have to sell versus how many tens of albums would you have to sell directly to the end user?
And of course, there's other ways as well, like Bandcamp. What I think that these companies need to be doing is they need to be creating more niche versions of Bandcamp with bigger built-in communities, because then you have the sharing and the discovery built into the website, as opposed to Bandcamp where you have to use Facebook and things like that. That's nice, and some people use Facebook, but a lot of people don't really use Facebook for anything more than jerking around anymore.
A lot of artists that have signed with big labels, that accounting system is messed up. Like the Star Wars movies are still a loss on the books. Like they've done creative Hollywood accounting so that it's like all the people that get paid on the profits of the movie have never been paid because technically the movie has never made a profit.
Yeah, because those guys signed contract that said profit instead of gross.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Yeah,
I hear horror stories like that all the time, and I always will tell my friends, listen, if you're going into a meeting, you sign a contract that says gross, not profit, because there will be zero profit if you sign that contract. That's why that they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, even Neil Young, he called piracy the new radio.
Well, can you imagine a radio station that, could call up the artist or get directly in contact with the artist? It's like, hey, can I play your stuff on the radio? I like it. Yes, you can always do that.
Yeah,
that is
but
not a problem.
with the big record executives there, I mean, my friend used to work for a radio company in South Florida, and the radio executives would get free vacations based on how many times they played a song. Be like, hey, this new Chili Pepper song, if you play this twice an hour, every day, this month, we're going to give you and your wife a trip to Bermuda.
I really hope we're on the precipice of a cultural revolution where, like, the social experience of, like you and I hearing the same song and having, like, that same emotional experience
and then
or whatever.
Sharing it, discovering it and sharing it.
That's the social aspect. And as soon as people recognize that they can get that from, gardening and having a conversation with other people and they don't have to have this manufactured media, it's going to be a beautiful day.
That's what I want to do with Keep It Metal, because most metalheads are not on Facebook, so we need to build the community into the website. I wanted to create something that was kind of like Bandcamp, but a little bit... I wanted to allow more community interaction. Like right now on Bandcamp, you can't go on there and write your own review. You can like and share something, but you can't post a review to it, and you can't recommend it. And there's no element like that. So that'd be kind of cool for Keep It Metal. Maybe I'll do a Kickstarter one of these days when I have some time.
And that's probably why this content's getting so popular, is because it's not remanufactured tripe that you get from all of the other media outlets.
Yeah, we try to do that for you guys. I think I'm going to skip over the fusion thing because... it's a pretty big deal. They're on the precipice of a huge breakthrough in fusion technology where they actually get more energy out than they put into it, and that could change the entire world. The real tests are not going to happen until 2013, but I will put a link to the article up there.
And massive props to the scientists at Sandia. They know what's up.
Yeah, they really do.
I was out there about 10 years ago, and they showed me this cool video of an ATV that could fire a 300-pound copper disc at a tank. Not only would it take out the tank, it would make the tank so hot you couldn't touch it for 3 or 4 days. There was nothing left of the ATV after it fired either. It was like a wheel and like a little piece of chain.
But that ATV
Yeah,
sacrificed.
it's like you drive around an ATV with a 300-pound copper disc on it. Oh yeah, taking out a tank with an ATV, not a problem.
Mr. Data, lay in course. Warp 9. Who does the warp? Is it Worf or Data or
No,
Ensign?
It's Ensign whoever, but in the first season it was Geordi. Because
Geordi?
Roddenberry was like, hey, a blind helmsman, how cool is that?
All right, fine, let's go back. Sulu.
Sulu, yes.
Sulu.
Again, again, Roddenberry was having fun, and Sulu was like, an Asian driving the ship? That's just crazy. That's what he said himself. So
yeah, so we got an Asian driving the ship and a blind person driving the ship. Destruction Derby. So
they have warp drive now.
Yeah, not only do they have warp drive, but they announced that they thought, we think we can do this. And today NASA said, oh yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, so that's really awesome. They're actually working on it.
The really exciting thing here is that it may be possible to do this on a microscopic scale using lasers. The previous version of this theory required an insane amount of energy that we probably could never produce in the lab on Earth. But this is still an obscene amount of energy.
What breaks my head is that before they had to make like a circular device that would bend space-time, right? And in order to bend space-time, they had to have the equivalent energy of the energy mass of Jupiter.
Yep. So they converted all of the mass of Jupiter into pure energy.
But by changing the shape of the circle that bends space-time, by curving it or whatever they've done, now they only need like 1,700 pounds worth of mass.
Yeah, that's still an obscene amount of energy. More than the energy output of the Earth in a year.
Coming out of 1,700 pounds worth of
matter.
But it's going to be exotic matter, so they're going to have to... The energy is going to be creating exotic matter that's going to therefore bend space-time. So what'll happen is you'll have the vessel. It'll be traveling through like a bubble. It will not be traveling at the speed of light or anywhere near it. It's not going to be breaking any of Einstein's laws, which is cool. But the space in front and the space behind are going to be bent. So the really cool thing about this is, let's think about like, our nearest neighbor, Alpha Centauri. Now, Alpha Centauri is around 4 light years away, maybe a little bit more than 4 light years away. So with this, we can get there in just a matter of a few weeks or months.
The other really exciting thing is we can do experiments with this theory and see in a lab.
In a lab, yeah.
On like a microscopic scale with lasers.
If they can put my like brain into another body, I might stick around for this.
Could be awesome.
Yeah, we should figure that out. People are working on that too. So now Baxter is a robot that learns. Here's the way this works. Normally with robots on assembly lines, you put them there and they do a task that you've programmed them to do. If you walk up to him, you can be like, hey, Baxter, let me show you how to do this other thing, right? And you start doing the thing, and Baxter watches you, and then a couple minutes later, you have reprogrammed this computer, this robot, and now he's able to complete that task. That's really cool.
It's going to be a whole other dimension of robot programmers that are out of a job.
It's going to put robot programmers out of a job. It's going to put assembly line workers out of a job. But if things go like they have for the past 100 years, those displaced jobs will not be like homeless. You're not going to end up homeless. They're going to be reallocated. You're going to be doing something else. Maybe you'll be able to use your mind in a different way. And the robots will be able to take over that sector.
Maybe that'll lead toward the advancement of society.
Hopefully, because it breaks my heart to read all these articles about people who are working in these factories and they're treated like robots. I was hearing yesterday on some poor girl from India. She works like 16 hours a day. They won't let her go home and take a sick day. She had like 102-degree fever. They had a nurse come out there on the assembly line floor and give her a shot while she's standing there.
Wow. That's really kind of terrifying.
Yeah. But that's...
If we have robots, we'll be able to compete with Chinese labor, but no one will be able to afford to buy our stuff.
So the whole diamond thing in Russia.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Touch on this for just a second, because a lot of people are saying like, oh my God, it's going to put all these other diamond companies out of business. And not exactly. I mean, it's turning things upside down just because the idea of it. Trillions of carats of diamonds have been sitting in Russia for years and years and years, and they've known about it since the 70s, but it's 2,000 miles away from the Siberian Railway. That's why it's not really accessible. They found it and they're like, oh yeah, let's shut up about that. Now these are impact diamonds, meaning that there's an impact on the Earth, like a meteor hits the Earth, and either there's diamonds in the meteor or the pressure from the meteor hitting the Earth created like double strong diamonds. They're like twice as hard as regular diamonds. So the application for this are, mostly industrial and military. We're talking like really crazy drill bits and stuff like that. Really crazy tools that are going to be able to machine the craziest engine parts you've ever seen in your life. Stuff like that. So that's the real application here. I mean, I guess you could make a diamond out of it. They don't look like regular diamonds. I mean, maybe if they polished them up, it would look a little different. But
the trick with diamonds is that they're just carbon. And so if we ever figure out a way to make them artificially, which we have,
and
De Beers is like, no. Then no.
We like our blood diamonds.
The price will fall out the bottom of diamonds. And so Russia's been very smart to keep this secret until now. And
well, the price should have already fallen out because there's a lot of diamonds that are just like in lockers, and
well, it's just carbon.
Yeah.
I mean, carbon is the most plentiful element on Earth, probably.
Is it?
It's one of the most plentiful.
It's up there. It's like, it might be number one. I forgot. I'm
not sure if it's. I'm not sure. Yeah, well, that's true. It's one of the most plentiful elements. It's just an arrangement.
Yep. Let's talk about some video games. Guys, there's a lot going on with indie gaming right now. So there's Indie Gala now. There's also a Humble Bundle. There's another Humble Bundle out right now that has a bunch of cool games. You guys should check that out. I'll be playing some of those games. Maybe I'll stream them. I don't know. See if YouTube tries to take down my videos. And now we have Indie Gala 9 featuring Broken Sword and a bunch of Worms games, Alien Breed, Call of Cthulhu. And there's even some Android games in there. So check that out. It looks almost just like Humble Bundle. It looks like they kind of copied. I wish they would change their style around a little bit, but I guess it's really familiar if you're used to Humble Bundle, so that's a good thing. It's a total ripoff, but at the same time, it's really good for the indie developers because there's a lot of indie games out there. And, I bought both bundles because I really want to support the developers, and I've been meaning to play Broken Sword for a while, so yeah. So check out all the indie bundles that are out. Other big news this week. Oh, if you guys like Zelda, you should check out this new game called Anodyne. I'll put a link to that on the website. Play a little bit of it here. This looks so much like Zelda 1. You see this?
No, I haven't played it yet. I really want to, though.
Wow, even the bad guys look like a total ripoff from Zelda, so we'll see how it is. At this day and age, graphics this blocky, I don't know. I guess it's a stylistic choice. All right, last thing we're going to talk about today, BioWare. The two big guys at BioWare have retired. BioWare's founders, Ray Muzica, I don't know, and Greg Zeschuk have retired. Now, they both gave, interesting reasons why they're retiring. One said, he's going to pursue other things. One of them said that he totally lost his heart, essentially, for gaming. He's finished with gaming.
The exact quote was, "I no longer have the passion I once did for the company, for the games, and for the challenge of creation."
That was Zeschuk.
I would lose all my passion as well if I sold my soul to Electronic Arts, killed Westwood Studios, and Command & Conquer.
Yeah. That's what some of the comments are?
Yeah.
Well, there's not a lot of people that are reporting that side of it. A lot of them are just like, oh, they've retired, they've moved on. But the Dark Side of Gaming, which is a really cool website, they came out with an article, and they basically blamed Electronic Arts, because they were like, look, these guys are hardcore developers. They were making some amazing PC games like Baldur's Gate, and then they had the Dragon Age. And those games came over, and Mass Effect, they came over to EA, and EA was like, can we please dumb these down a little bit so that we can sell, like 4 million extra copies, and screw the core audience on PC. We're going to port it over to these other things. So they dumbed down the franchises, and then we had Dragon Age 2, which was just goofy compared to Part 1. And, just look at everything that's been going on, and that's probably what happened to them. So that's their speculation. That's what a lot of people are saying in the comments.
Star Wars The Old Republic was also a incredible disaster.
Was it? Yeah, I didn't play The Old Republic, but I remember the first game, Knights of the Old Republic, was a really good RPG.
Yeah. It was night and day.
Yeah, so it's really sad. I think people can handle intelligent content, and I don't think these publishers must think that we're a bunch of slobbering fools if they think we can't handle intelligent content. But that's okay. We'll do crowdsourcing. So at the end of all this, if you guys change your mind, BioWare guys, and you want to make something, put it on Kickstarter and we'll hook you up. We'll totally pay for it. That's where I'm going with that. And that's pretty much the end of everything. If you guys like the video, subscribe. If you don't like the video, subscribe, because then you can come on and hate us every time you see one of our things in the feed. People love to do that. They're like, I'm going to sit down and watch this television station and disagree with this guy on television. I hate it.
I totally disagree. Zombies are a real threat.
So send your hate mail to inbox@techsyndicate.com, and I'll see you guys next time. And normally when you build a robot for an assembly line, you program it.
But they
Is friend
discontinued.
face an actual thing?
Yeah,
The friend face?
it's from the IT crowd. There's
Oh,
like a
I thought it was like an
commercial.
actual thing. It sounded like something your dog would be like. That's what a dog would call Facebook. Oh, you're on friend face. I love friend face. I am dog. Go roll on ground.
No, there's a really hilarious video that describes friend face.
The
as some
IT
sort
crowd?
of, yeah,
Yeah.
some sort of disease. Oh, we just lost it.